Darshan by Atmananda Krishna Menon. Verse 15. Atma Vinoru Kaladu Madi Villaika Moolamam Nashi Chida Rudenula Moham Kanunna Darilum. The desire not to die. Have to wait for the recording later. So in chapter 10 verse 15, Atmananda is explaining about the deathlessness wish that you have. Now all this I have explained in Adhyasa Drishti, which we all did in detail. So all the verses from here on, you have done the explanation in Adhyasa Drishti. So how we are going to change it? We are going to now look at direct seeing only here and combine it with Nisargadatta Maharaj's higher wisdom from the book I Am That. So observe very carefully within, whenever the word death comes up, there is a raw impulse, a very quiet raw impulse of I do not want to die. You're not saying this to yourself in English or Tamil or French or German. You're not philosophizing it, you're not interpreting it, but it is just a quiet raw impulse that is there. Do you recognize that? You just witness that the moment the word death comes up, the moment the desire not to die, such words come up, there is a movement that happens within. This is what I'm calling the raw impulse. When this movement happens, see clearly there is a fear. It might not be very loud or prominent. It's a little restlessness, like a little worm moving. I use the analogy of a worm because that's a very little movement, a tiny movement from the quiet calmness which was prevailing before. There is a fear there. A fear is tied to it. I understand very clearly at the intellectual level that this body is going to perish. I understand that the mind is going to dissolve. Very clearly I know this identity of I am Ekta, I am the teacher, I am a family member, I am a householder. All these things, all these identities, all these will collapse. I know it at the intellectual level. Then what is it that is afraid? What was that movement? Even if it was one tiny movement, a wriggly movement, like of a tiny worm. What exactly is it that is afraid in me? Turn to that. Turn your attention towards that. Turn away from the object of fear, which in this case is just the topic of death, or the word death, or this particular verse from Atma Darshan. You turn your attention from that object of fear to the knower of fear. Who is knowing the fear? The fear is clearly known. Therefore, there must be a knower. The thought, I may die, is known. And then the sensation, that wriggly movement, the sensation in the body is known. Or if it came up as an emotion, that feeling is known. That which knows this feeling, this sensation, this fear, that is actually untouched by the fear. Do you recognize? If you are at the point where you've learned to nullify, you've learned to dismiss mentalization, where you've learned to tranquilize the sankharas, you would have noticed you dismissed that feeling naturally, automatically. And you have to have astute observation to recognize that, yeah, I dismissed it. It's not there now. For some of us, it is still there because we're still talking about death. But for some of us, we naturally, automatically dismissed it. We hit Control or Delete at the mental level. And somehow that fear fizzled away. But did you recognize that first wriggly movement that came up? So Atmananda says, why does this come up? This little movement that came up on the impulse, I do not want to die, why did it come up? Very clearly he's saying, the Atma is deathless. So this impulse that came up, that little wriggly movement, the sensation, the fear, that is not personal. A few sessions ago, we did the clear wisdom on sankharas or sanskaras, that samskaras are not personal. Yeah, so here Atmananda takes you one level deeper to help you understand that I do not want to die is a raw impulse that is not personal. It belongs to the consciousness. It is a part of the function of consciousness. It is part of the structure of consciousness. It has got nothing to do with me at a personal level. In fact, there is no person, so there is no question of personal. If I have not gotten to this higher level of understanding, now is the time to move higher. And this idea of I am a person is a distorted reflection of the truth. Now we come to Nisargadatta Maharaj's explanation on it. He says, the moment I give into the idea, I do not want to die, and I start thinking, what if I died? What would happen to my family? What would happen if somebody else in my family died? Etc., etc., etc. I have already reached the world in this particular diagram. Means I have said yes first to I am the mind state of mind, which is the witness consciousness. Then I said a second yes, it's a mental yes. I said a second mental yes to I am the body state of mind, which is the person, the green concentric circle. And then the third is I am in a world. I have said 3 yeses instantly, one after the other. And I've created this whole story. What happens if I die? What happens if my family member dies? Did I explain this clearly? Yeah. So he's saying this happened so quickly. This is a raw impulse belonging to the consciousness. It's the function of consciousness. It is the structure of consciousness. By function, by structure, attempt to understand the structure of a female body is to give birth to a baby, is to first have the baby in the womb and then give birth to the baby. It's the function and structure of the woman's body. Like that, the female or the feminine aspect of consciousness has this as a raw impulse. I hope this is opening up. That raw impulse is what we call samskaras or sankharas. In English, impressions. So now that impulse naturally comes up, I do not want to die. The moment I get stuck in the whole story, I have said 3 yeses already. I am the mind state of mind, which is witness consciousness. Next I said yes to I am the body state of mind, which is the person. And then I said yes to the world, which is I am a person in a world. Instantly I've said 3 yeses. If automaticity of deleting at the mental level or dismissing at the mental level has naturally set in, it means I have acquired the skill of saying a no, a mental no, to all three in one go. And that's why I insisted that you complete the journal points and you complete practicing what we did in the past 2 sessions, because the mind can create a story, even if it is not there, it can create a story, yes, I am there. And that's why I told you to practice on the automaticity. So now become very clear that I have not said one single mental yes, I said 3 yeses. Can I recognize this higher truth? This is what we get from Nisargadatta Maharaj's analysis in the higher chapters of I Am That. Okay? I hope you are able to draw a parallel between I Am That and Atma Darshan. Clear? Okay. Now, when I start seeing this directly again and again, I come to a point where I recognize that I am not inner world, I am not a body mind, and I am not even the witness consciousness. I've come to the higher level where I've started recognizing that the pure consciousness plus the witness consciousness plus the body mind plus the world are all one. There is no two there. I have attained that recognition or realization of Advaitam, no two. When I am in the no two, in the Advaitam, I am in the reality. I am reality myself. And that is where I recognize the pointer that the Atma is deathless. That is why this raw impulse naturally comes up. I do not want to die. And a simple thing, a friend meets you after a long time and says, hey, you've changed. You don't look the same as you looked in school. Immediately the idea of age comes up, immediately the idea of the number comes up, immediately the idea of I am the body-mind person in the world comes up, and at the same time there is a raw impulse hiding beneath all these stories. I do not want to die. Do you recognize the entire thing? Yeah. So this entire drama is known or seen by something beyond. That is deathless truly. Use the drama to get out of the drama. There is a seer, and this whole proliferation of this is my age, this is how I looked in school, a picture of school and school friends and how you looked during those years comes up. This whole proliferation of drama in the head, which is there, is seen. There is a seer. Hold on to that and negate the drama and recognize it was a pointer to the deathless Atma all along. This entire drama was a pointer inwards towards the deathless Atma. That is the most important point in this shloka. Please recognize this is a higher level understanding and happens when a quiet clarity dawns. The urge not to die comes up again and again because it is the design of consciousness to preserve the body. So understanding this is very important, because somebody who is walking on the Jagat Mithya path keeps beating himself up, oh, why did I get afraid at the topic of death? Or why did this thought even arise? The raw impulse will continue to arise. Understand this. Even in the enlightened, The raw impulse arises, but he does not say these three yeses. Basically, he does not get into mentalization. And even if that happens because of your past habit pattern, immediately there is an automatic denying of this personal self and getting out of it, because it was a pointer to the deathless Atma all along. Clear? That completes shloka or verse number 15. Is the direct seeing of 15 clear for everyone? Yes. So now if this is clear, the same thing applies ahead. Clear? So now I will read the verse, chapter 10, verse number 16. Becomes bound with the object, it is superimposition of the characteristic of Atma on non-Atma. How can objects that are by definition time limited be made to transcend time? This is verse number 16. Verse number 16 follows the same verse number 15. What are we saying in 15? That it was a pointer towards the Atma. So now I recognize this desire came up. I do not want to die. It's not in these exact words. I'm just using one phrase here. I do not want to die. Yes, it comes bound with the object, means it comes bound with the body, mind and the world. But truly, I do not want to die belongs to Atma. And the body, mind and the world are Anatma. We've done this earlier in Atma Nirvriti. Yeah. So they are Anatma or not Atma. How can objects that are by definition time limited, the Anatma is time limited. Yeah. It cannot transcend time. Yeah. So observe this movement of desire within. It is not limited to I do not want to die. The moment you've said a mental yes to all these three levels, it does not remain as a pure, quiet, raw impulse or a pure urge below the surface of consciousness. It has now got tied to let the body not perish, let this relationship continue forever, let this experience be permanent. Do you see that? What did you just do? You took the quality of Atma and superimposed that quality on Anatma. Why? You know relationships end. You know every experience dies. You know the body is going to perish. Why? Because these are changing objects. Changing objects again mean there is a wave that arises, that peaks and this disappears. It has a beginning point, it has a peak point and it has a cessation point. Everything is just a wave. Whether it is the perception of the most beautiful relationship, whether it is the perception of the most wonderful event happening in your life, or it is the perception of just this body, the body that I address as I, that I'm attached to. Very clearly, I know these are impermanent. I know they are unstable, they are changing, they are time bound. Atma is not time bound. That transcends time. Yeah, but the demand of the permanence of Atma is placed on Anatma, on the body-mind world. This is the superimposition error. Recognize it. This characteristic of Atma, of being permanent, is called Nitya, is what I have just superimposed on my relationship. I want my relationship to be endless, but is that possible? No, only Atma is endless. Why? Because only Atma is beginningless. There was a beginning point for this relationship. Atma is beginningless. Atma is not subject to time, but this relationship is in time, space-time. So becoming aware in that moment, again and again. In direct seeing, you catch the superimposition in real time. A pleasant sensation arises. Immediately there is a subtle movement. May this stay. That's the raw impulse. I do not want to die, which has now been superimposed on the relationship, on the event, on whatever triggered pleasantness. So may this stay. Just recognize that movement and see the impossibility. May this stay. This cannot apply to this relationship, this event. This cannot be made permanent. Then that which changes cannot be stabilized. That which is in time cannot be taken beyond time. I cannot take this relationship beyond the witness consciousness. Not possible. So the struggle is not with the object. The struggle is not with the person. That I want pleasantness from this relationship with this person, the way you interpret it, and he or she is not giving me that pleasantness. Similarly with the event, that event is not giving me the continuous pleasantness that I want. The struggle is not with the person, not with the event. The struggle is with this false attribution. I have taken permanence from the Atma and superimposed on the Anatma. The direction is misplaced. The longing for permanence is valid, When sadhaks on the Jagat Mithya path come to this level, they say that no, even the longing for permanence should not happen. This is wrong. The longing for permanence is a natural impulse of the Atma. That can never be removed. That will never go away. Just like I am never going to die. This feeling can never go away. Like that only the longing for permanence, this should be permanent, is not going to go away. It is valid, but it is misplaced. It is taken from the Atma and put on the Anatma. Immediately withdraw from the projection. In direct seeing, if you see that happening, withdraw. Don't demand permanence from the object. Recognize permanence in the subject, that is knowing the object. So these points are very important at this level, because the sadhak starts beating himself or herself. There is this self-beating that begins, that I have come so far, I have reached here, how come I still have the longing for permanence? How come the wish of deathlessness still comes up? This is where now the subtle work begins. I have to separate the raw impulse of the deathlessness of Atma from the superimposition that I put at the body-mind level of I should not die. And similarly, I have to remove the longing of permanence which belongs to the Atma and separate it out from the Anatma where I superimposed it. This becomes very clear. Then when fear arises, you will understand the fear has arisen because the longing for permanence and the deathlessness attribute of Atma was misplaced. The moment you can put it back into its correct place at the mental level by saying a no at the 3 levels. No to the world, no to the body-mind person, and no even to the witness consciousness, because now I've come to the higher level where I see all as Advaitam. Yeah? When I say no, you're not really saying it in language, it's just expressed like that. You withdraw from the projection and you come to the recognition that deathlessness is a quality of Atma. Because I superimposed it on the body-mind world, fear came up. The moment I removed the superimposition and came back to the true attribute of deathlessness belonging to Atma, fear vanished. Wow, this is what the mental cancellation or mental deletion does. This is the benefit of it. When automaticity sets in, you will see that you will move from fear to fearlessness automatically. You will move from time to timelessness automatically. You will move from impermanence, from the longing for permanence in world objects to recognizing permanence as an inherent quality of the Atma. And this is a very subtle seeing and very, very important. If this automaticity does not set in, then there is still some pending work to do. Yeah. In direct seeing, I just observe. There's no action that you're doing. The mental deletion is not an action, just to be very clear. It's through the power of attention, the power of observation, that I recognize my deathlessness attribute of my Atma has been misplaced, superimposed on the Anatma. This is happening at a quiet observation level. I hope that has become clear. You're not speaking to yourself in the words that Ekta is explaining. She's just explaining to expand on what is happening at the level of observation only. Complete attention, full observation. You're fully there. And that's how you see that little wriggly worm. And you recognize, oh, this is fear. Why fear? Because deathlessness attribute of Atma was superimposed on maybe a relationship, maybe an event, maybe an object here, maybe on this body, we don't know. Whatever that is in that particular situation. The moment you see it, it goes back to Atma. Yeah, which means what? This happens when I'm not attentive, when I'm not really observing, when I'm not staying at the witnessing level. Now this is the higher level of witnessing. I told you in chapter 10 we move higher level of witnessing, where pure consciousness, witness consciousness, body, mind, world are all one. Yeah, there are no levels anymore. Yeah, so I get to pure witnessing at the higher level and stay there. That wriggly worm, that fear vanishes. Yeah, the false idea of permanence from Anatma vanishes. And you're okay. You're okay with not extending that experience. And you're not resisting ending of a relationship, ending of an event, ending of an object. You're not resisting that even. You're not trying to control the body, mind and the world anymore. That is how you know you have mastered it. Yeah? Not controlling body, mind, world, not trying to extend any experience, and you're not resisting endings. Yeah? Ending of any wave, you're not resisting that. Ask yourself, have I reached there? Have I gotten to that point yet? If not, what is it that I am still stuck onto? What is it? At a personal level, one must dive deep within and see what is it, what is my personal work area. There's nothing like person, there's nothing like personal. So personal work area also shouldn't exist. Why is all this existing? Oh, because I've said a yes at 3 levels. Where, in what kind of imagination do I still slip? Where do I still say the yes? In direct seeing again and again, come back to the timelessness. Timelessness was never in this object, never in this world, not even in the witness consciousness that says I. That also dissolves and disappears. I've seen the collapse of the I. So timelessness was never in the object that is known. Timelessness is beyond. When this is seen, the question dissolves. No attempt is made to make the time-bound transcend time. This is the most important thing. Have I gotten there yet? Have I quit making attempts to make this time-bound transcend time? So this completes verse 16, where the error of superimposition completely falls away. Ask yourself, have I reached there yet? I completed the entire Adhyasa Drishti journey. Did I get to the point where the error of superimposition has completely crumbled, dissolved, disintegrated, disappeared on me, or not yet? If not, then there is some more work left. Clear? So that completes verse 16. Understood before that the happiness aspect belongs to Atma. We did that in Adhyasa Drishti. So instead of going into the same explanation, I will take you through direct seeing. Just begin with a simple fact that right now, in understanding this higher knowledge, there is a constant movement towards happiness. Do you recognize it? Just at getting the wisdom, at understanding it, at being able to see, there is a movement towards happiness. And recognize it, this movement is now being superimposed on understanding the wisdom, on hearing what Atmananda has to say in a higher verse, or what Nisargadatta Maharaj has explained. Are you seeing this? You are superimposing the happiness which is coming from something beyond onto the words here, onto the body, mind, person here, onto just the perception of sight of this Advaita session here. Is there recognition? We do that in regular, mundane, everyday life also. Every choice, every action, even every avoidance, I don't want this, all of it is oriented towards happiness. You pause and you ask yourself, is happiness being created by this object? Maybe in this case is the Advaita session and the knowledge here. Ask yourself, is happiness being created by this relationship, this person? Or is it being revealed from beyond? And how will you see it? Whenever there is a desire, I should eat ice cream because it will make me happy. It doesn't come in these exact words, but there is just a pull towards the ice cream sitting in the freezer. Yeah? There is a little restlessness. Do you observe that? just at such a simple thing. I'm just using ice cream as an example. Please relate it to your personal examples. That restlessness is there till the time you don't get up and get that bowl of ice cream and finish it. If you keep telling yourself, okay, later, no, I'm not supposed to have sugar, oh, no, I put on a lot of weight, and you keep pushing it out, till that time the flash of ice cream keeps coming. The taste starts developing on your tongue. Do you see this? This restlessness is there. Till the time the object is attained, this restlessness is there. How many of you have realized it? Fantastic. That means you have a good observation. Now, till the time I don't attain that object or I eat the ice cream, the restlessness is there. Once I eat the ice cream, the restlessness subsides. In that subsidence, there is an ease that is revealed. And that is what I have termed as happiness. But what is that ease? What is that relief? The restlessness died down into nothingness. And I tasted the nothingness, the shunyata, the nobodiness. I got kicked out from the center. The world which is in the center is the ice cream. And I got kicked out directly outside, even outside the white circle. That was the release. The pressure has been released. The craving has collapsed. A relief from the restlessness has happened. So you got kicked out from the middle, the blue circle, all the way outside the white circle. Agitation was temporarily removed. You actually tasted the nothingness and nobodiness. That is true happiness. But what did you do? You attributed the happiness to the ice cream inside the blue circle. Do you see this? This is how I superimpose, become aware of this. The object did not produce happiness. The removal of the restlessness or agitation, the getting kicked out of the I am the world, I am the body mind, I am the mind states of mind. When I got removed from there, I experienced my nature. That is the natural state, or Atma. It is happiness itself. It does not deliver happiness. Happiness is not a product that can be achieved or attained. Recognize it. It's the flavor of Atma. What remains in the absence of I am in a world, I am the body, I am the mind. What remains in the absence of these states of mind is called the Atma, or your natural state. I hope the ice cream example clarified it. Now please start recognizing this superimposition in your personal examples in the world. Happiness always belonged to the Atma. I attributed it to this relationship. He or she should give me happiness. This experience should make me happy. If I buy that gadget, that new item on the market, I will get happiness. Start observing these things as they start appearing. It is actually the raw impulse of happiness which is flowing below the surface, which is being superimposed on that object, on that relationship, on that event. The error will still form. No, this object will really give me happiness. That error will still form. But just recognize that object is anitya, means it is changing. It is constantly in a flux. It is dependent on the waking consciousness. When the waking consciousness disappears, this object disappears. That is the meaning. It is anitya. When the waking consciousness disappears, the relationship disappears. When the waking consciousness disappears, the happiness, which is my nature, my natural state, that is actually experienced in its fullness. That's why I love to go to sleep. I call it sleep. But really, it is the absence of this entire waking consciousness, dream consciousness, and the tamas of the deep sleep consciousness. All three are absent. That's when I get to the true happiness. That is independent, not dependent on this ice cream, on this relationship, on this object. The object has disappeared. It's not there. Yeah, so in your own Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana or wake, dream, sleep exploration, you can start seeing this truth. How can the limited give me the sense of the unlimited? Not possible. How can the changing give me the taste of the changelessness? Not possible. That means I superimposed happiness on this object, on this relationship, or on this event. Yeah? I took the characteristic of one and I put it on the other. So this is the work that you have to do at a personal level in these remaining 6 days before we meet again. Many things will come up which will give you the idea, I will get happiness if I do this, I will get happiness if I speak to this. Yeah? This will be a pleasant experience. Yeah? Stop, observe, do not rush into the object, observe. Allow this knowledge to automatically take the power of observation so strongly to that which is beyond the witness consciousness, to the highest level, pure consciousness. A quieting of the mind will happen. You will notice the absence of want. It's a stillness. The stillness comes. And then you recognize, oh, this stillness is what delivers the happiness. This is being revealed. This is being uncovered. That object cannot give me this stillness. The object will still continue to disappear. You'll see the cessation point, it will come back again, like the ice cream thought or the ice cream flash kept coming back again. Seems to appear and disappear, appear and disappear. There's something that is not appearing and disappearing beyond. That is knowing this. That knowing is not lacking. That knowing is not seeking. That is your key. The non-seeking. That non-seeking, knowingness peace is the ground. That non-seeking peace is happiness really. That is Atma. Yeah, so it's a correction that you are making because now you have a strong foundation in the understanding of superimposition. You're done with the intellectual part. You've really attempted to apply it a lot in your daily sadhana. Now the next level of sadhana on Jagat Mithya is to actually correct, rip it off again and again and again. Do not chase happiness in objects. Please remember, your family member, your son, your daughter, your husband, wife, your father, mother, all of them are objects in the world. They fall inside the blue circle. Do not chase happiness in objects. Do not seek happiness in this body-mind. This body-mind is changing. It is bound to fall sick. It is bound to deteriorate. The joints that worked earlier have slowed down and become stiff now. All that is going to happen. So do not seek happiness in this body-mind, which is the green circle. Do not even seek happiness in witnessing. Jagat Mithya level. Now we have to drop the attachment to I, the witness also. Allow it to collapse and go beyond. Very important. If in Samadhi, the collapse of the I has not been happening, let me extend my Samadhi. Because now I am moving higher. And if I'm not able to do it back at home, then I isolate myself. Either isolate in a hotel, or take 2-3 days in some monastery that will allow you to rent a room for a couple of days, isolated from attachments, or come to a retreat, isolate there. Only in isolation the I collapses quite easily. When it collapses, it means you have really said a mental no to these 3 levels. If the I is not collapsing easily, it means I still have a lot of attachment here at these 3 levels. I have stuck onto a yes, yes, yes at these levels. So the correction is important. The collapse of the I is not permanent. But recognizing the collapse of the I a few times creates a shift within. It's a shift of dispassion. Now you are not so attached to the world, to the body mind, and not even to the witness. Okay? This shift is what makes you realize that happiness cannot be obtained. It is revealed from the beyond. Without the collapse of the I and the recognition of the happiness beyond, it's not possible. No, it remains theory. It's a mental theory I have memorized. That's why seeing the collapse of the I is important. Collapse of the I is nothing but the collapse of the witness consciousness. Even if it is for a brief moment, it shakes me inside. It tells me this big I that I do, that I is only not constant. And then that reveals that agitation is in seeking. And when this agitation subsides, I get thrown out to the ever-present happiness, which is the Atma. That is the key point here. So I would encourage each of you to do your weekly samadhi very seriously. Attempt to get to the collapse of the I. And if the collapse of the I is not happening, back at home it is giving you very clear indications of where some personal work is still remaining, either at the world level or at the body mind level or at the witness consciousness level. You must not even be attached to the idea I am Turiya. Turiya is the fourth. We need to go beyond the fourth. If I get attached to the idea I am the fourth, then I'm attached. Attachment is seeking. Seeking creates agitation because of superimposition. So the final superimposition dies when the I collapses. Turiya merges into Turiyatita. Then you get to a proper understanding of this verse, of what is he calling as Atma, the ever-present happiness. He's saying Atma is happiness. It does not deliver happiness, it is happiness. So that completes verse 17.